It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Life was beginning to look up after the war to end all wars, but there was an imminent darkness looming. Prohibition, or the noble experiment, threatened the favorite pastime of many Americans, getting pissed drunk and making bad decisions. But no place was as affected as the urban metropolis of Pullman, Washington. Here, Washington State College was located, and in order to keep student morale up, prodigious amounts of alcohol needed to be consumed. Stay with us as we journey into Pullman, Washington during the Dark Decade. It was a happy time for many WSC students. Life couldn't be better. The beer flowed, the women were easy, and the Munchies hot dog line was never long.
January 16th, 1920. It was a Saturday. I'll never forget that day. I had just woken up from my blackout, and the night before, I had slept with my third member of the Glee Club. It was a cold wind that swept through Pullman that day.
With the ruling of the 18th Amendment came massive bloodshed in the absence of alcohol-related deaths. The Pullman locals still mourn those days as the Crimson Buzzkill.
You may have heard of the Kent State shootings or the Holocaust. These events were only trivial when compared to the Pullman Prohibition pub protests.
People were documented licking the last morsels of the cheap, flat beer that was left in kegs for weeks. Then the realization hit. The students were going to have to make their own beer.
Nobody really knew how to make drinks at first. It was more or less a juvenile process.
Well, they tried many ways. The city of Pullman was once crawling with snow leopards, but a rumor got out that their liver contained alcohol, and following a lousy football season, the snow leopard population had become extinct.
Yeah, I ate snow leopard. We all did. None of us got drunk, though. A little queasy, so I guess it was like drinking. Hunting put us into a blood rage, but that was really the only effect. In fact, we changed our mascot from the Scotty Terrier to the snow leopard because of its vital existence. I guess when the horror wore off, we just got rid of the spots and then we became the Cougars.
Pullman citizen Jim Anderson even went as far as to claim himself as Jesus and tried to convert the water into wine.
And now. And now.
It wasn't until 1924 when Orton Rogers, a sophomore general studies major, through sheer accident, discovered the process to form alcohol.
Orton lived next door to me. He lived in a filthy apartment and stunk like a dead flapper. Wilma Davis, the town floozy, came by to visit him when she found a loaf of bread floating in stagnant water in his unused bathtub. The bread had fermented for a month. She tried a piece of it and got drunk. That's when we knew we had something big here.
Everyone knew Orton Rogers after that day. If the person next to you smelled like moldy bread, you knew they were juiced.
Yeah, the Speakeasy where Orton Rogers lived was by far the most popular. Him, Duncan, Dunn, Wilma Davis, Orton Rogers, and Stevenson Waller always had a full tub. And they had Officer Gannon Goldsworthy on their side, so nobody was going to stop them.
Things started to look up for the students of Washington State College. Their favorite pastime had returned, and once again, ugly chicks were getting laid. But then, tragedy struck.
It was kind of revolutionary, actually. For a vigorous 15 minutes in the bathroom with Wilma Davis, Scott Cohen tossed her pantaloons in the bathtub. Forgot about them. Until one fateful night, 2 months later, when Cohen returned and took a drink out of that bathtub. Stevenson found him dead the next morning.
The reason they were called pink panty droppers is that when they drank them, they dropped. Dead.
12 people died because of that batch of contaminated alcohol. It was the largest alcohol-related incident in Pullman since the beginning of the Prohibition.
The news of this tragedy spread to Washington, D.C., and a revolution was started against alcohol prohibition. This sparked President Roosevelt to take action.
Many people think that the ending of Prohibition was because of the need for taxing alcohol. But we all knew that it was because of Wilma Davis and her panties.
In this H2 exclusive, we have accessed the historic document that ended this affirmation. Pullman, Washington, and the world were forever changed after that fateful decade and 3 years. Washington State College would later commemorate the Speakeasy squad and their legacy by naming their residence halls after them. Thank you for watching our special. Please stay tuned to H2 for Pimp My Cannon with Exhibit. And thank you for watching H2 for the young, fresh historian. I'm Robbie Irish. Good night and drink up.